that and report if you find that the average cash balance holding is more than the what is prescribed for the said branch.
म्यूट है
Regarding this insurance cover, most of the times the branch will tell you that the insurance is kept at the head office level. So you please take a confirmation in this regard. This year, please don't go by the words of the managers. Please, but you see, give me the management certificate that the insurance is being held by your head office for the branch cash and also the ATM cash, because there are a good number of ATM frauds. So please check that whether it has been adequately covered by the insurance. Now the balances with the Reserve Bank of India or State Bank of India, in some of the branches, they are usually maintained cash balances with the State Bank of India or maybe with the other banks. In those cases, please obtain the balance confirmation certificates. Don't go by the words of the managers, because there are instances of happening of the fraud wherein the auditor has crossed it on the manager's certificate of the balances with the bank, with the other banks, and subsequently it was found that actual cash balance was not there. So the firm was accused that why you have not checked the original copy of the balance confirmation letter. Please don't go by the Xerox. Ask for the verification of the original balance confirmation certificate. If there is a reconciliation, please check the reconciliation and whether it has been properly done. These are the points of the reconciliation: that the cash transaction remaining unresponded, revenue item requiring adjustment, all this. This money call at the short notice, usually the branches are not keeping these items at their folder, so you need not put much of a headache on this. Then next point will come the investment. This time, this is only applicable for, as per the LFAR format. I think the LFAR format is with you. You will find that this is only for the outside India branches, not for the Indian branches. So you need not report on this point and straight go to the advance portfolio. Now this is the advance is the asset of the branch. Now this advance is creating a headache to the whole banking parlor because of the huge NPA created from time to time. Bank has time to time giving advice how to tackle the NPA, how to deal with the NPA, and how to check the NPA accounts so that you can report the correctness of the advance from time to time. Now the question arises, how you can check these advances, whether this has been properly secured, proper documentation has been done or not. Mind that a cash credit is a large, most of the advances of a branch comprise of the cash credit. उसके बाद आता है demand loan, term loan, advance against bills, all these, but chunk is a cash credit. Mostly say 70 to 80% is a cash credit. Now cash credit the only instrument in the hands of the branch is to check the stock is what? It's the insurance policies, then stock statements, then the security directly created to cover, that is collateral securities, all this. That is why we used to call a cash credit account is a remote control advance. The advance is being controlled from a remote place. Because suppose when you go for a stock audit, you are doing a stock audit of 31st March on the basis of a stock statement given in the month of February. So automatically about 20-25 days has passed. So how can you reconcile the stock as on a particular date? So in those cases, what you do, you apply your judgment. What are the judgments? Whether there is a sufficient debit and credit known as the debit and credit summation in the account. So this is very vital point, because what credit summation denotes? Can you tell me anyone what credit summation denotes?
Credit summation, I think it's for sales.
Pardon?
If the paid summation
Realization from sales.
Realization from sales. Thus, realization from sales, if you go mathematically, how can you come to check? Opening debtors, add sales, less closing debtors is the cash flow. So, if you go by the Dios theory of opening debtors and closing debtors and the sale, usually all the banks are nowadays asking for the various financial informations, and stock statement is having the debtors position. If you take all these positions in a consideration, you can easily find out the sale credit summation, what should be the credit summation in one account. But sometimes parties are much more intelligent than us. What they're doing, they're depositing a check which is being bounced 2-3 times. What will happen? The summation will go. So please check out. If you go to the early warning signal given by the Reserve Bank of India, there are 42 points. This is one of the points, that bouncing of checks. So if that is so, please take care of whether there is a tendency on the part of the borrower to bounce the check, and accordingly, this credit summation has been inflated. Thirdly, the debit summation in the account. Debit summation is the cash withdrawn or purchase or payment made by the to third parties. You can, if you go study the last year's audited balance sheet, you can have an idea what should be the cash component structure of expenditures, what is check component structures of expenditures. Now, there are a lot many regulations of payment of cash due to income tax and various amendments. So the most of the transactions you can expect should be done, other than salaries and wages, printing and stationery, cooked-up, all these expenditures. Mostly it is done by checks. If it is done, then it will be automatically reflected in the account that those transactions are done by check. Even there are, though it may not be possible for the branch managers to see the Form 61 and Form 61A. It is usually done at the head office level, from where the cash transactions are being reported to the head of the Reserve Bank, Informs Directorate, and that is subsequently being reflected in the 26AS of the respective borrower. But you do not have any access to the 26AS, so it's just I'm giving it for your information. Now, this time, previously we used to check the advances of 2 crores and above for the purpose of annexure to the long form audit report. Now it has been made 10 crores. So, in case of 10 crores in advance, whatever the files you choose, suppose there are 20 advances, you are choosing 10 advances to be checked in depth. Note down the account number, build up your backup papers for every checking, because Reserve Bank of India might ask in a long run, or the statutory central auditors might ask, what you have checked? Where are the backup papers? Other than peer review, this year, until unless you build up a backup papers, the whole episode might fall back on you in the long run. You see, I have given the format, account name, account number, note down the account number, account name, balance at the year end, fund based, balance at the year end, non-fund based, and this total. Fund based and non-fund based is very clear to you. Fund based means cash credit, demand loan, term loan, ABC facility. These are all the fund based. And non-fund based means letter of credit, letter of guarantee. This letter of credit may be divided in the two ways. That is, letter of credit on DP basis, letter of credit on DA basis. What is DP basis? These documents against payment. And that means whenever the LLC bills come, bank makes a payment by debiting the accounts and hand over the transport document to the borrower, so the borrower can release the goods. So that is the MR or TR or RR like this, or bill of lading. But in case of a DA bill, DA letter of credit, a DA letter of credit is nothing but a kind of fund-based advance. Why? Because in DA, the party is getting a credit period of say 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. It depends upon the terms of the letter of credit. That is why you compute the PVF of a company, then the letter of credit under DA basis is being considered as a part of sundry creditor. And also, while you do the stock audit, what you are doing? A LC bill matured, that is goods reached to the company premises, is being deducted while computing DP. Keep this point in the memory. The very vital point that LC bills negotiated and the goods has been received by the borrower should be deducted from the DP, and accordingly the DP is computed in the system. Because it is a general tendency of not disclosing the letter of credit bills and letter of credit outstanding in the stock statement. Please make a note of this, and whenever you find that this sort of anomalies are there while computing DP, please note it and report. Now, for the purpose of the in-depth study, what will you study? See that the sanction letter of the bank, what sanction letter has been communicated to the borrower, and whether that sanction has been accepted by the borrower. There must be a countersign on the sanction letter by the borrowers and kept in the document file. If you find that usually for the advances, large advances, there are various conditions which may be operating sanctioning terms and fixed type of sanctioning terms. What are those? The operating sanctioning terms that company has to submit stock statement, booklet statement on monthly basis. Company has to give an undertaking that no dividend to be declared. These are the things that are common in nature. Those are the operating terms. And the non-operating terms, there is a fixed type of terms which are invariably being given in the sanction letter. Please check up whether those type of undertakings has been executed, kept in the file, and proper documentation has been taken. While you check the documentation, it may not be possible for you, for anyone, to go to the details of the terms stated in the terms and conditions documentations. Please see, this is in the, usually all the banks are having the said pro forma of documentation. Please see that it has been properly filled up, because most of the times you'll see that the interest condition, interest limit, etc., are not being filled up, left blank. So it has been done. Secondly, proper stamp paper has been used. We have a concept that stamp paper is expiring or if it is 6 months old. It is absolutely not correct. Absolutely not correct. There is a Supreme Court judgment on this. The stamp paper is invalid after 6 months if the said person who is holding the stamp paper claimed the amount from the collectorate after expiry of the 6 months, then the collectorate will not refund the money. But for the purpose of documentation, there is no such condition stipulated. Please go to the Supreme Court judgment available in the site.
So, it means the stamp paper is valid.
Yes.
लोगों का माइंडसेट ऐसा है कि किसी को जोड़ने नहीं देता।
ये माइंडसेट है, इसीलिए हम आपको बोल दिया
सर, एक लॉयर का एक स्टाम्प पेपर होता है और एक बैंकर्स का, इसमें डिफरेंस क्या होता है?
देखिए, lawyers are permitted to keep the stamp papers in their possession, but please take care of this, whether those are the valid stamp papers.
Yeah.
Because in 90% cases, it was found that Harshad Mehra episode, the false stamp papers, false things. So please, whenever you find that these sort of stamp papers in the name of lawyer, ask the manager why you have not taken on yours. पार्टी के नाम में होगा, ठीक है, accepted. But why in the names of the lawyer? So please ask this point. Secondly,
can you kindly cite the case law of the Supreme Court? Which case?
There are a good number of cases of stamp paper. One stamp paper episode was, we were aware about 6-7 years back. There was a huge hue and cry on the stamp papers forgery. About 1,000 crores of money has been drained. According to the
स्टाम्प पेपर फॉर्मेट also.
stamp format, yes.
Maharashtra.
That is why it has been changed. And very recently, and one circular has also come. But usually, we used to go by the stamp paper, the green letterhead we used to use. Green paper as an annex C. Now the A4 paper can be used. It has very recently the decision has come. A4 paper can be used. Now what I am talking about the stamp papers, a cash, it is all depends upon the local stamp act. It is not on the central basis. That is West Bengal documentation to be done as per West Bengal Stamp Act, not on the Maharashtra Stamp Act. But what you find that sometimes some borrowers are stationed in Maharashtra, or some property which is mortgaged with the bank is located in UP. So in those cases, the mortgage has to be created and the nearest branch at UP, not in this branch. And confirmation of deposit of title deeds should be sent to the branch concerned. Similarly, for the documents execution, it has to be executed if it is person staying in, suppose Maharashtra, if someone either from this branch should go for execution of document in Maharashtra with the proper stamp requirement at Maharashtra, not at West Bengal.
Suppose the bank is in Bengal and the borrower is from Maharashtra, then which state?
No, borrower may be at Maharashtra, borrower registered office may be at Maharashtra. It is not the point, because the advance is giving from here, sanction is giving from here, documentation executed here. But if the property is located at Maharashtra, in such case, the loan is giving from the Calcutta branch, then stamp paper value, stamp requirement valid at the Maharashtra should be taken. That's stamp paper value.
So in that case, whether the borrower from Maharashtra can take a stamp paper in his name from Bengal?
If it is located in Bengal, you can take it. No issue. You can take it. There's no restriction. Secondly, we have come across one of the leading, I will not name the name, leading nationalist bank is taking the guarantee documents in a 20 rupees stamp paper because it is the stamp paper prescribed in Mumbai for letter of guarantees. So we were the statutory auditor of that bank and we objected on that point. And it was subsequently we were told that there is some long understanding between the Stamp Act applicability, and that is why it has been done. So they are correcting their internal circulars. So please take care of the letter of guarantee in West Bengal should be executed in a 50 rupees stamp paper, and any agreement should be executed on a 10 rupees stamp paper. This is secondly, for the purpose of documents, what you have to see in case of when you are giving a finance to a limited LLP or a private limited or a limited company, charge has to be registered with the Register of Companies, MCA. But in registration of charge, I think you have all of you have seen that there is one form known as CHG1. In CHG1, we have noticed that the some of the chartered accountants has filled up stocks as a under the head others. It should be a floating charge. It is not the others. Please take care of this point, that whether they have taken written others or a floating charge. Point number two, in case of a collateral security, we have noticed that the narration has been given for the creation of the mortgage of the property located at XY Bangu Revenue like this. But while filling up the CHG1, it has not been filled up properly. Mind that whenever there is a collateral security of a property, CHG1 specifies if first it should be ticked in the immovable properties. As soon as you tick in the immovable properties, two windows will further open. One will state value of the property, very, very important, without which you cannot file the paper. Value of the property, location, address, then is descriptions, and also longitude and latitude. Longitude and latitudes are available from the side. It is not difficult. You have to fill up. You also have to fill up whether it is sale deed, the second window, sale deed, how many type deeds are there, 2, 3, 4, then is a lease deed or not, so and so particulars has to be mentioned. As an auditor, because this year, please pay particular attention on this, that this has been correctly filled up or not. If not, report it. That we find defects on this area for registration of charge. Second point is a SARSI registration. In SARSI registration, all mortgages, particularly for house building loans, mortgages has to be created and SARSI registration has to be done. Whenever there is a SARSI registration, you see that like the CHG1, there is also a Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. So you see the proper forms are filled up. It contains the absolutely correct description of the properties mortgaged, and where from you will check the correct description? This from the mortgage register. In mortgage register, whenever bank is creating a mortgage or extend a mortgage, they created make a note of this in a mortgage register. Please note it down for your record.
Sir, one thing I want to know, whether charge is to be created on non-fund based limits.
Yeah.
But most of the banks are not creating
Diligence report. Because those non-fund based limits, what will happen? It may mature at any point of time and convert to a fund based limit. But do you mean that every point of time bank will go and modify the charges?
Whether the same charge ID will be modified or the separate charge has to be created for every LC.
Suppose you are having a CC hypothecation of 10 lakhs. and LC facility of 5 lakhs on DA basis. So what will happen? That LC bills devolve. How the bank will pay? Bank will debit your cash credit and pay. But if they debit the cash credit, the balance is going up to 15 lakhs. Then bank, do you mean that bank will again file the charge? How the bank will file the charge? Because borrowers will not cooperate, not give the digital signature.
It was a better because it may be
I want to know, sir, suppose I have a limit of LC limit of 1 crore and I opened LC of for 5 companies for 20 lakhs. Whether I have to create at the time of opening LC, whether I have to create a charge or whether it has been paid.
At the time of creation of LC.
Not at the time of opening of the letter of credit, neither at the time of the maturity of the LC bills. It is to be done at the time of sanctioning of the facility.
Yes.
When you give your acceptance.
Okay, total of the total limit. Oh, total.
Sorry.
At the time of documentation.
Section 7, you read the section 77 of the Companies Act. Okay?
Also, in case of corporate guarantee, whether a charge is also created.
In case of corporate guarantee, there are 2 opinions on this. One group is telling no charge is required to be created because no specific asset is being charged. No specific asset is being charged in a corporate guarantee. If you go to the format of the corporate guarantee. But 90% of the banks are asking that corporate guarantee charge has to be cleared.
At the time of audit, they give the note and find out.
It is always better to safeguard your interest. You can point out the corporate guarantee of Mr. XYZ Company Limited is on the possession, but no charge is created. It is better. Let them tell the charter में जानता नहीं है, but आप तो report किया है ना?
It's a safer side.
It's always safe.
So it was a practical देख लो कि यदि हम लोग corporate guarantee भी खोलते हैं तो contingent liability होगी. इसी टाइम में सामने वाला borrower एक fault होता है तो उसका liability आ जाएगा. तो इस केस में कोर्ट भी चाहता है कि इस चीज को मेंशन करके रखें, डिपार्टमेंट को बता के रखें कि person who can take the opinion on the basis of financiers, corporate guarantee आप create कर रखिए. ठीक है, टेक्निकल में नोट
देखिए हम लोग का क्या हो गया? We auditors, we are sometimes not looking into things properly. We are going by the cut paste order. Very recently, day before yesterday, I was doing a due diligence of one of the big company. Okay, the account is the NPA since 2019, and the auditor has commented in Caro. There is no default in payment of liabilities because the previous year it was there. It was simply copied and pasted. Second thing, I find out the UDIN has been generated. The UDIN has been put in the auditor's report, and can you imagine the UDIN is for the tax audit UDIN that has been given in the statutory audit. So such a big company, and when I told him that Mr. So-and-so, I felt sorry for you, but my hands are tied, I have to report it. So even I know in one case, the chartered accountant has not generated UDIN, and he told to the borrower, UDIN लगता नहीं है, जो आदमी बोलता है उसको बोलिए UDIN करने के लिए. बोलिए, what is the attitude? Leave apart.
तो सर एक चीज बताइए, अगर कैश क्रेडिट लिमिट किसी borrower ने दिया हुआ एंड उसके बाद उसने एक कार लोन ले लिया उसी बैंक से, in that case क्या उसका चार्ज क्रेडिट होना चाहिए? Generally we have not seen any charges on that.
Car loan has to be clear. Has to be clear. दादा ये छोड़ दीजिए, कार लोन छोड़ दीजिए. Even in advance against fixed deposits, it is a pledge. It isn't pledge, but the charge has to be kept.
अगर एडॉप नहीं सर, एडॉप में तो करते हैं, लेकिन टेम्पोररी ओडी अगर दिया था
करना पड़ेगा. Temporary OD means for the purpose of passing a check.
वो नहीं.
2-3 महीने के लिए कुछ देते हैं ना कि
एडॉप तो होना ही पड़ेगा, एडॉप तो हो गई. वो तो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी फ्री होगा.
Documentation करना पड़ेगा.
कंपनीज एक्ट में पहले इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी को चार्ज होता था, फिर अभी कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 से आ गया मूवेबल प्लस इमूवेबल एनी एसेट को वर्ड
एनी एसेट आप सेक्शन 77 देखिए क्लियरली लिखा है एनी एसेट
डेटा बुकलेट सभी
सेकेंडली देखिए ये
In
जो
case of sanction letter, there is a mention कि ad hoc limit can be given 20% or so. Then again charge will be created or not?
it is a sanction letter. It is
then
sanction
that
letter
charge-
and documentation. Both are entirely different things.
Hmm.
If the sanction letter stipulates that 20% ad hoc to be given,
Yeah.
in such case, either you are to give the CHG1 while you do it accordingly
Correct.
by mentioning this 20% clause and take into consideration.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are to file a separate
Yes, sir.
charge.
In the case of corporate guarantee, who is given the, who is filed the charge by the corporate guarantor or borrower?
The corporate guarantor.
Corporate guarantor. Not the borrower.
Borrower is not involved.
अभी उसका रजिस्टर ऑफ चार्ज में आता है
Borrower is not involved. Next, please see the legal audit report, whether it is in the possession of the bank. Because in all the cases, what you would examine 10 courts and above, legal audit report is a must. So please check up the legal audit report, whether it is kept in the record or not. Say, thirdly, the due diligence report. Due diligence report is applicable as per the Reserve Bank of India circular is for 20 crores and above. And the company shares are listed in the market, share market. There in those cases, share market clients, it is to be done twice in a year, 30th September and 31st March. Otherwise, it is for once for 31st March. So please check whether the due diligence report has been obtained and kept on record. And please go through the due diligence report. There is one clause. That is clause number probably 10 or 12. I cannot accurately remember, which tells the whether the borrower party or borrower and his directors are in the RBI defaulters list or ECGC caution list. Most of the cases, the company secretary, chartered accountants, all the cost accountants who are doing this due diligence report are dodging this point. If you find that such type of dodging is being reported, it is not stated in a clear terms, please report it in your long form audit report that this point has not been properly explained by the person who has done this due diligence report. Again, the due diligence report also needs UDIN number. Mind that. See that UDIN has been generated and whether the bank has verified those UDINs. Because the verification of UDIN is a must for the banks and bank manager must do it. He must ensure that it has been done appropriately. Now, what I told in the initial stage about this controlling of advance. How this advance is being controlled? It is being controlled through a stock statement. So, whenever the party submitted the stock statement to the bank, you have to see that that stock has been properly inspected. The best way of seeking the inspection for the chartered accountants is to just go through the ledger of the party in the computer and see whether inspection charges has been debited or not. Because managers will not give the report, but they are very particular in debiting the inspection charges. 200-500 रुपए के inspection charges will debit करेगा. So if that debit is being done, you ask the manager, you have debited the account by this as your account means, but where is the report? Because 90% cases they don't give the report. 90% cases. You as the auditor, you charge debit कर दिया, charge debit कर दिया, but report नहीं देगा. But नहीं देता. वो कर देगा साहब, आप फिक्र मत कीजिए, हम कर देंगे। बोले कर देंगे नहीं है, आप करिए ना, हम लिखेंगे, सीधा बात है। Then about the book date statements, stock statement, on the most gray area is the valuation. So check up the sanction letter, what method of valuation has been prescribed. Usually, this is quite a practice of the banks to state stocks to be valued at a cost or market price which is lower. But they are not specifying how the WIP to be valued, how a finished goods to be valued. They are not specifying cost or market price which is lower. Please, for the borrowers, for big borrowers, check up the audited balance sheet, how the stocks has been valued. Usually the auditors are telling the inventories column how the stocks has been valued. If you find that this is not as per the accounting standards as prescribed by the ICAI, please report the same, and also report that the sanction letter is very flimsy, not categorically stated how the stock of WIP and finished goods to be valued. Okay? Now about the book date statements. Usually, the book dates are carrying a bit of higher percentage of margin. Usually. Why? Because the book dates contain a profit element, so that is not being financed by the bank. So that is why book date is usually carrying a higher margin. Check up that whether the DP computation has been done appropriately on book date whenever the limit has been given. Secondly, in book date, what is most important, that the book date advance usually being allowed maximum up to 180 days. So see, maximum, most of the cases is 3 months, not more than 90 days, usually for the small borrowers. If it is for 90 days or for 180 days, as specified in the sanction letter, please examine that whether the stock statement consists of the 90 days or 180 days. See, and accordingly do your computation. Thirdly, about this stock statements and book date statement, in case of most of the borrowers, their bank is specifying that the book date statement should be certified by the chartered accountant. If that clause is there, check up the book date statement submitted to the bank, whether it has been duly certified or not, and whether the said chartered accountant has raised the UDIN and given the certificate. Then, nature of withdrawal. If the cash credit account mostly consists, you cannot remove this. अच्छा, ठीक है. The nature of withdrawal, whether most of the times the borrower party is making a cash withdrawal. Please put a question, why you have allowed so much of cash withdrawal, and how the said borrower is meeting the day-to-day expenditures which are supposed to be done by check but not carried out, but so much of money has been withdrawn by cash. This is the case of account to return sick. If you find that it may be possible they are diverting the money for some other purpose for making the cash withdrawals. Next point, QMS statement. This is a quarterly monitoring statement. Most of the banks wherein the credit limit is ₹1 crore and above is asking for a QMS statement. QMS statement usually consists of Form 1 and Form 2. Previously, there were 3 forms. Now it is a two form, Form 1 and Form 2. Form 1 states that quarterly sales and the position of the current assets and current liabilities and the working capital position and book debts position as on a particular date. Whereas Form 2 consists of the half-yearly profit and loss account, which is to be compared with the previous half year, and along with the projections made by the said company. There are 4 columns. There are 4 columns in this form, along with a fund flow statement. So please ensure that in fund flow statement, there is no diversion of the fund, because if there is any addition to the assets, that will be reflected in the fund flow. Am I wrong? Is the uses? And whether the matching contribution has come into the inflow. Because a profit is a long-term fund plus depreciation, plus there is an unsecured loan or etc. etc. It consists of the long-term fund flow of a company. Similarly, repayment of term loan and purchase of fixed assets etc. are the long-term deployment of fund by a company. So please check up whether these things has been properly, appropriately depicted in the Form 1 and Form 2. I do not know whether you have done this Form 1 or Form 2, seen it or not, but try to tell the managers that whether the QI statements or QM statements or QI statements are you are taking from the borrowers who are availing the big finance from you, from cash credit or working capital facilities, and if so, whether it is on record or not.
No, what account this loans form is applicable?
Pardon?
On what account delivers form is
I'm 1 crore and above. 1 crore. This is the RBI guidelines. But there are certain banks वो बोलता है कि हम लोग फॉलो नहीं करते हैं।
1 crore से ऊपर तो लिखना नहीं होगा।
हाँ?
बड़ा अकाउंट में लिखना है।
बड़ा अकाउंट में लिखा रहता है।
1 crore plus में लिखना है।
It all depends. It is a guidelines of the Reserve Bank of India. अब कोई बैंक implement करता कि नहीं है, there is an internal management of the bank.
कंपल्सन के लोन के ऊपर लेना ही पड़ेगा।
Yes, a bit of compulsion as per RBI guidelines. As per RBI guidelines. Yes, you can report. You can report.
If it is written in the sanction letter and it is not there, then we should report, or whether we should report for all the accounts.
Not for all the accounts. If the limit is from 1 crore and above,
Yeah, in that case,
in those cases.
if the bank is not following that system, right?
If the bank is, you can just give a advance in the control of advance. You can mind that the quarterly information system or QMS forms are not taken by this branch. But you do not know whether the bank has got a policy or not. It may be possible the bank might have given a circular. That circular is not followed by the branch concerned. Within your short span of stay, it is not possible for you to go to the circulars.
So we have to just see the sanction letter. If it is in the sanction letter and it is not in
Then
the
if it is in the sanction letter, you can blindly report. If it is not in the sanction letter, you can report. This is just a matter of policy. Okay. Then whether interest rate, margin, etc. is being properly fed in the CBS system. Please check this point. It is very, very important, because we have come across in some cases wherein that this has not been done in a proper way. We have got a mindset that वो तो कंप्यूटर में है, हमको देखना नहीं है. Absolutely. I can give you 2 instances wherein there is a big forgery in the account. In one cases, my article find it out that in one cases interest was not charged for the month of February and March. Okay, can you imagine? February, March, no interest has been charged. Then we thought that the account may be a technical written off by the head office level. That is why it was not, interest has not been charged. So when the chief manager came, I pointed out this point that we have to give an MOC for this account because no interest has been charged. He jumped. How come it's possible? No. But it is not correct. It is not correct, sir. Interest है होगा. और आप देखिए, MOC मत दीजिए. First thing is the MOC मत दीजिए. I think then he started giving his argument, and he's absolutely in some case points was correct. Accounts are there was a good turnover in the accounts. Then the stock statement submitted. So immediately they called the head office at general office at Bangalore. From the Bangalore, someone, I don't know how he knows me, he called me up and started by name, Tushar Da, আমি আপনাকে চিনি, so এই account গুলো খুব ভালো, এগুলো কি MOC কেন দিচ্ছে? It's MOC I am not giving, that you are giving MOC. How come? Why not debited interest? Interest debit hiding, Bangali chile. I have debit hiding. Then you cannot imagine that day up to 9 o'clock there was a fighting. MOC should not be given. I mean, why আমি MOC দেব না, আমাদের দিয়ে দিবে either balance sheet MOC or profit loss MOC. একটা MOC আমাকে দিয়ে দিবে. I cannot say that the interest should not be recovered for during this accounting period. Ultimately, we have given a profit and loss MOC. The interest has been computed, voucher has been passed, account has been debited, and we have given a profit and loss MOC, and that we have written that a voucher has been passed on this date. Can you imagine that tussle of the chartered accountants? I have to keep myself awake about 11 o'clock. I left from the branch at 11 o'clock. That after a great fight, he started weeping, he started shouting. I don't know why you are doing all this showmanship business. I am not budging. Either you have to recover. नहीं आप देने का दरकार कि हम नेक्स्ट ईयर में कर देंगे, वो सब बात नहीं. This year के काम this year में करना पड़ेगा. So this is a way. This sort of mental pressure they used to create on the chartered accountants. So please don't budge, because there is a general concept of among the banks, the chartered accountants are going for holidaying. This very particular word was used by a GM of a nationalist bank. It is a holiday time for the chartered accountants, bank audit. So this time, I request all of you to prove yourself that you are not going for holidaying. You are really doing something which will prove positives for the chartered accountants. In case of a term loan, what you have to see? You have to see that whether the term loan installments has been released in terms of the sanction, a proper margin has been obtained, original bills and copies, etc., are kept in the file, and the nature of assets purchased are as per the TEV report. Because in TEV report, they might have specified something, and whether the asset purchase may be something. Please check up whether it is as per the
We are
TEV
talking
report.
about the loans against property.
Term loan,
Term loan may be education or a different sector.
term loan will not be
project loan.
Why property?
not property, for fixed assets, for project loans.
सर लोन का डॉक्यूमेंट तो आजकल बोलते हैं कि हेड ऑफिस में से हमारे जनरल ऑफिस में पड़ा हो तो वहां से मंगाना पड़ेगा.
That is why, if you go to the long form, they have given a condition that whether it is not situated in the branch level, that documents has to be called from the head office level for why it is
Bank
located.
to bank very करता है.
नॉर्मली सभी बैंक में ऐसा हो गया.
आजकल
Send me that check.
ओबीसी वाला पहले क्या था कि वो क्लस्टर ऑफिस में रखता था. ओबीसी तो खत्म हो गया. और डिपेंड अगर जोनल लेवल में सैंक्शन हुआ तो दे विल कैप.
वो आपको मंगाना पड़ेगा. मंगा के देखना पड़ेगा. That is why it is better. As soon as you get the appointment, talk to the manager over phone that what is the advance and etc. And a list should be given that these sort of thing documents, if you do not possess, please bring it so that we can examine those documents in clear terms. Yes, yes. Because what will happen, the branch managers in the subsequent time may tell, वो डॉक्यूमेंट हमारे पास नहीं है, वो हेड ऑफिस में है, वो ये है, वो है, ऐसा तो बहाना लगा के they think that they are the outsiders. They are smart enough to tell them go. So you prove your smartness by telling, okay, we'll go. We are not here for the whole period, but give this documentation. Otherwise, I have to prove the right that we have called for the following files, that those files has not been given to us during our stay. That's all. Why not? Long firm has given a room. Stay, write it.
So previously you have said we have to keep the working papers ready.
Yeah.
So for the any inquiry and all. So what type of working papers can we? Because apart from the statement, we cannot take the photocopies of the documents and all this.
No, what are the for the purpose of carrying audit of any account? What type of audit papers you can generate? One, account numbers, name, sanction limit, outstanding, fund-based, non-fund-based. Okay, date of registration of the charge, amount of charge created. Okay, lawyer's report date, then due diligence report date. These are all audit papers.
Write it down.
You can use it. These are audit papers. Because if subsequently some questions come, we have examined those papers. Ask them, because we cannot take the photocopy of those. You ask them, find out those papers wherein it has been written directly.
At the time of audit, we have seen the property document, and later it got misplaced. And it was said the auditor has not checked. It was not there.
No, if you write down all those documents, papers, that deed number so and so, mortgage has been done, deed number so and so. Yes, that is documentation. That is the documentation. No, you have to create your documents of your own, whatever way you feel that you can satisfy in the long run. Regarding this insurance, there is usually very wrong concept among the borrowers that insurance to be taken to the extent of limit. In most of the cases, you'll find that suppose the limit is 50 lakhs, insurance has been taken for 50 lakhs. It is absolutely a wrong concept. It should be to the extent of the average stock held by the company. So check out whether it covers the entire stock or not. 2, the location correctly mentioned in the policy. 3, its validity is still there. 4, the assets mortgaged are as per the terms and conditions of the sanction. 5th, that the insurance has been taken for the fire as well as for the burglary, and for if the item is not fire prone, that may be that may not be taken, but sanction letter must, higher authorities must permit that such stipulation has got fire insurance has been waived off. And next point is this, that the insurance must clause bank clause. That is, the financing bank's name, branch, must be stated in the policy itself. Okay? This is the most important part. While you go for checking your advance, check the loan policy of the state bank. It is available with the state branch. Then why you do the credit appraisal? Because this year special emphasis has been given for the credit appraisal. See the loan application, proper resolution has been taken or not. What I told, the collateral valuation report of the collateral security. In case of a renewal of the facilities, usually last 3 years valuation has been accepted for collateral. That is 3 years, within 3 years, it has to be again revalued. And the CMA, what method of financing has been followed for the purpose of computation of PBF. PBF means permissible bank finance. Now, there are two methods in offering for the purpose of computing the PBF. One is CMA data method, trading monitoring arrangement method, that is prescribed by the Tandem Committee, subsequently reversed by the Chore Committee. And another is the Nayak Committee report. What are the difference between these two? As per this Nayak Committee report, credit limit to be sanctioned on the 25% of the sales of the company, 5% is the margin for the borrower, and 20% is the bank finance. Suppose a credit limit of company sale is 200 lakhs, then 50 lakhs is the fund requirement, 5% as a margin, it means 10 lakhs, 40 lakhs is the fund-based limit requirement. This is thumb rule of computation under the Nayak Committee. This is applicable for small borrowers. But as per the CMA data method, it is entirely different. Here is the finance is being done on the basis of the holding period. So in 25% method, actually average 3 months holding is being permitted. 1/4, 3 months holding. Whereas in CMA data method, it might go up to 6 months, 7 months, in some case 12 months also. Because in case of, suppose I'm giving an example for the leather manufacturers. Leather manufacturers keep their stock for 6 months on an average. That is leather, it has to be processed. It is go to the blue, what they call blue, then blue to finished leather. They keep the 6 month stock. Similarly, for rice manufacturing units, they keep the stock of sometimes 12 months because the older is the rice, it is gold. Okay, so this bank is permitted to hold the stock on those companies, but you know the bank has burned the finger by giving a 12-month stock, and the UCO Bank and other consortium has drained 4,800 crores by financing one big rice mill unit, okay, in Haryana. Somehow. So these are the position of the CMA data method and your Nayak Committee method. In CMA data method, the minimum current ratio requirement is, do you know, can you tell me? 1.33. Correct, 1.33:1. In 1.33:1, it means 25% of the current assets is to be financed by the borrower. Okay? What this ratio denotes? Ratio denotes for each 1 rupee of liability, there is a asset of 1.3. Thank you. No biscuit.
Due to corona point of view,
बिस्कुट खाना चाहिए ड्यू टू कोरोना बिस्किट खाना चाहिए
रेशियो चेंज हुआ क्या वो पूछ रहा है
बिल्कुल कोरोना में रेशियो चेंज नहीं होगा but COVID loans and GCL loans are being liberally distributed among the borrowers, but all are the working capital term loan format. That is to be repaid in the period of 60 months with a moratorium of 12 months. So repayment to be done within a period of 48 months will start after 12 months of the release.
The bank बुला के दे रहा है, नहीं
Sir,
मिलेगा।
there may be case की जैसे CC चल रहा है, right? They are sanctioning the COVID loan sanction.
20% of
But interest भी sir sanction ना ये COVID loan से ही payment हो रहा है. In this case,
It is evergreen. I'll tell you this part. This is known as a evergreening. This evergreening, please take care of not only from this COVID loan, but for the other loans also, ad hoc also. Evergreening is a concept. What is that? Concept is this. I want to save my account, or the manager wants to save their account from the NPA category. So what he did, he sanctioned an ad hoc facility of 5-6 lakhs. And what happened? This 5-6 lakhs has been utilized for the repayment of interest. So these are known as the evergreening. Okay, because whenever there is an ad hoc facility, mind that, but you make a note of this, there must be a physical DP. Probably you have not heard this word physical DP. What is a physical DP?
Actual disbursement.
सर वो तो बोलेगा कि उस दिन का स्टॉक स्टेटमेंट दे दीजिए, बस हो गया।
Actual physical DP means actual coverage of stock, whether it covers the ad hoc limit too. Suppose the company's limit is 50 lakhs, 5 lakhs ad hoc has been given. So he must have the stock 55 divided by 25 into 100. So that much agitation stock coverage must be there. Otherwise, what will happen? Why this concept? Because otherwise, what will happen? This total outstanding beyond the, this ad hoc limit will be unsecured, and unsecured is not following the branch path. Okay. So there must be a physical deal.
sir, in case of COVID loan, whatever loan is given for the working capital purpose, can the borrower utilize that particular COVID loan to other purpose of the business other than working capital?
Okay.
They are taking the certificate for this.
So how you
अभी
can change that you have the borrower has not utilized the fund for the purpose for which it was sanctioned.
The bank is taking sales certificate for this.
Yes. होता ही है।
One of my clients took the COVID loan and they utilized that fund to repay their own loan, but not to the company.
They have, I know there are at least 5 cases wherein the money has been taken from the COVID loan, has been utilized to pay the Standard Chartered and others, wherein they have taken the personal loans. मुझे ये बता है, बेनिफिट है। अच्छा उसमें क्या है, उसका क्या है, उसमें उसको क्रेडिट रेटिंग बढ़ गया, ये टाइमली रिपेमेंट है, he can go for some other loan again.
तो टाइम मिल गया ना सर।
उसमें क्या होता है, कंपनी जो है सीआरपी में चली गई एनसीएलटी में, now the NCLT judge is asking how you utilize that fund. You are not allowed to use the working capital to repay their own loan. यहाँ पर जाके फंस जाना है।
Because the only reply from the branch is this. Okay, clearing is not in my place. Clearing is done in some other place. If the fund flows from that place, because the man concerned in the clearing sale, he is not using fine, the DP is there or passing the check. That's all. How can I exercise control?
Not possible, sir.
Not possible for the branch. Absolutely impossible for the branch.
वो तो डीपी देखेगा और चेक पास करेगा।
No, not must. Not must. But some of the banks are asking for the CS certificates, and post CS giving certificates like anything.
वो हर बैंक में तो हर चीज में सीए सर्टिफिकेट चाहिए।
ऐसा सीए बन जाएगा कि भाई वहाँ पर क्लास को सर्टिफिकेट देगा कि ना हुआ है, वहाँ पे होगा नहीं। बहुत गलत है।
स्टेटमेंट से पता तो लगता ही है कि वो फंड आने के बाद में पैसा किधर गया।
सर डायमंड हो रहा है तो पता चलता है। सैटिंग का पता चल जाएगा। फंड सैटिंग का।
देखिए फंड डाइवर्शन का पता कभी at the time of diversion पता नहीं चलता.
पोस्टमार्टम
ये होता है only postmortem analysis.
पोजीशन में नहीं है कि we can analyze.
You do not have any instrument to check. How can you check it? Even suppose you are going for a stock audit, company is operating. आप क्या बोलोगे कंपनी बंद करो हम चेक करेंगे स्टॉक? Not possible. Then most of the insurance stocks, our company is incorporating in the stock statement, but insurance stocks are not refinanced. वो तो पड़ा है 5 साल, 4 साल, 3 साल, maybe 10 years. दो दिन कब पता नहीं कब उसको कोई ये होगा तब इंश्योरेंस स्टॉक लगेगा कि नहीं लगेगा. तो इंश्योरेंस स्टॉक्स है बिकॉज़ वो लोग इनकॉर्पोरेट कर देते हैं स्टॉक्स से.
ये जो केसेस है सर रिपोर्ट इसको कुछ करना है एफआर को ऐसा कोई टारगेट है
क्या
वो कॉर्पोरेट लॉ जो मिला है मैक्सिमम डाइवर्शन का कुछ है इसमें ऑप्शन
इसमें क्या नहीं है सब कुछ इसमें क्या नहीं है लॉन्ग फॉर्म जिस तरह की जो फॉर्मेट है इसमें क्या नहीं है वो पूछिए.
डाइवर्जन भी है क्या
वो तो हो गए.
Even if the account is not being categorized in SMA category in 0, 1, 2, you have to report that one. Even if the IBC order has come from the higher authorities, but you have not executed till date the IBC orders, and that has to be reported in long form. This year, long form has casted a huge responsibility on the chartered accountants, and I have already told that for this purpose, the additional fee must be sanctioned with the enhancement of the audit period. Because without enhancing within the 4 days, this long form you cannot do. There are 25 major amendments that have been made in this year.
क्वेश्चन है सर कि ठीक है अपने वहां पे देखें कि डाइवर्जन ऑफ फंड्स हुआ है लेकिन उसकी जो कारो रिपोर्ट आई है उसमें ऐसा कुछ नहीं किया डाइवर्जन ऑफ फंड है. आप
कारो रिपोर्ट आपको कहां मिलेंगे? आप देखिए कारो रिपोर्ट मिलता है 31/3/20 का. आपने ऑडिट करते हैं 31/3/21 का. आपको कारो का है वो वायरो नहीं है.
आगे मिलेगा उसमें नहीं मिलेगा.
तो कैसे मिलेगा?
सर डाइवर्जन
सर ये LFAR साइड होगा.
वो डाइवर्जन ऑफ फंड कौन सा इसका
हां देखते हैं कहां लिखा है.
अदर्स तो ही अदर्स तो ही
कुछ जो लिखना है सब लिखिए.
और बना के इसी एक बैंक के क्लाइंट समझ गए
ठीक है सब मिल जाएगा सर. आप आगे बढ़िए.
है ना?
Misappropriation of funds.
इसी स्टफ का ऑडिट फॉलो कर रहे हैं.
Now, for the purpose of letter of guarantees, you may find there are certain letter of guarantees which has been issued by the bank for disputed purpose. Suppose a customs case is there. Customs has demanded some duties. The borrower has provided a guarantee for against that claim. In those cases, 100% margin has to be obtained. These are RBI guidelines. So please ensure that if you find that the letter of guarantee issued by the state branch, which is under audit, and they have issued the guarantees for the purpose of disputed purpose, like usually it is being customs and excise, usually it is being issued. In such case, it is to be done with a 100% margin. Now, there is another concept has come. Of course, it is the old concept, but now most of the borrowers are trying to use the letter of guarantees are being used like a letter of credit. What's the difference? Difference is this: letter of credit is being, once it is matured, the letter of credit is closed. You have to open another letter of credit. Until and unless the clause of revolving letter of credit exists. Revolving letter of credit means that credit, that letter of credit may be revolved up to 200 lakhs, 500 lakhs. This is being specified in the sanction letter itself. But there are certain letter of guarantees against which the parties are continuously supplying the goods. This is a new concept, and though there's a big fraud happened in NSIC, I do not know whether you people have done the audit of NSIC. Nirav Modi episode is a bit different. That is another LOU. So what happened? Suppose you establish a letter of credit on Coal India for 5 lakhs. The Coal India will go on delivering the coal up to 5 lakhs on time to time, as per your requirement. As soon as that, so long you make the payment of the bills, no issue, no problem. The Coal India will go on issuing you the payments. But as soon as it stops making a payment, the guarantee will be immediately invoked. So what will happen? There are two benefits. Time and again opening of letter of credit costs you. So this is a jhamela for the borrowers who wants to stop it. And another, for the purpose of the party who is supplying the goods, by virtue of this letter of guarantee, he can ensure the payment continuously and supply the goods. This is being followed by the state electricity boards. I think you must have noticed that ACBs are asking for the guarantees for the purpose of ensuring the supply of the power. Similarly, it is also being done by the Coal India, and also NSIC on this concept started supplying of material to various small units. What is the modus operandi was this, that NSIC used to take a guarantee of the bank, and on the basis of that guarantee, they direct different suppliers to supply the goods to small scale investors. But what happened? Subsequently, it was found these guarantees was fake and drawn on a fake stamp papers. And NSIC has suffered a loss of not less than few thousand crores. It is about 4 years back it was happened. So whenever you as an auditor, you are examining the contingent liability of the bank, ensure the contingent liabilities are not matured. Secondly, if matured, whether the guarantees has came back into the fold of the bank, that is a refund of the guarantee, but you will find 90% cases, particularly from the customs and excise, they don't send back the guarantees. Okay, this is a very common thing. And for disputed, I have already told you. Now, LG, there may be two types: performance and financial guarantee. What is the performance guarantee? For achievement of the contract, for execution of a bridge, guarantee has been given. So these are performance guarantee. Then LG may be another form known as bid bond. What is this? This bid bond, when suppose you are bidding to some institutions, instead of security deposit for that tender, you are giving a guarantee. Those are known as bid bond. But it is a kind of a guarantee. It is coming into the purview of the guarantee parameter. Okay? In case of an invocation of letter of guarantee, finish. Okay. In case of the invocation of the guarantee, ensure that the invocation has been, fund has been provided. But well, then due to invocation, you have to pay the claim. Okay. Leasing finance, I don't think you will find such type of things in the branch. Usually it is for the purpose of big LCB cases. These are leasing finance. And credit cards, check up the credit cards for the promptly paid. If not, this account to be check up whether the amount has been duly recovered from the party concerned. Okay, these are the almost of the advances. Besides this, there are certain things which is known as the suspense entries in the bank parlor. As a auditor, you have to see that whether suspense and sundries entries are being reclassified among the age. What is the age 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, that has to be classified and report. Well, in case of an interbranch reconciliation, whether this has been duly responded by the bank and reverse entry has been made. Usually nowadays, previously there was a not reported entries lies huge. Nowadays it is almost nil, but even then you have to check. And while you do the checking of the frauds and etc., you go through the format, you report it if there is any fraud happened during your audit period, please report it. And it may be possible that, that there are a good number of frauds, particularly frauds are most common in the banking parlor. If that be the case, you make a note of this and accordingly you fill up your long-form audit report formats. Thank you all. If you have any questions, I'm just giving half an hour time for your questions. So please tell me the questions. I'll try to tell you as far as I can.
So whether KCC accounts should be classified as, we should give the MOC for KCC account?
KCC means?
Kishan. We see is the rural branches, all the accounts are NPA according to.
You have to report it. But one point I'm not told is that usually last year, I was in the panel of this advisory of the bank audit. We find there's a good number of questions, particularly from the auditors of Guwahati, Tinsukia and all this region, that what should be the treatment of a T advance. T advance is a agricultural advance. Though it consists of an activity of manufacturing, but it is an T advance is a agricultural advance, and herein the DP is being computed on the basis of. Do you know anyone how to DP computed for T advance? In the ultimate deficit financing concept. There's a cash flow to be obtained for the T finance from the party. Usually the T season starts from the November, December. The fund is being issued from the November, December for preparatory work. And the first plus is coming from May, June. First plus means T. So on the basis of this, they prepare a cash flow statement. On the basis of the deficit, finance is being provided by the bank. It is known as the deficit financing system, cash flow method. So on that basis, cash flow method, DP is being computed there, not on the basis of the stock holding, mind that, not on the basis of the stock holding. Okay? So this concept you must not, why? Because it is very common for you people to go to, maybe because large amount of T advance now in the fold of PNB. Okay, because UBI had a huge advance in the T sector. Now this club with the PNB, so whosoever is the PNB auditor here, you might face this T advances. So please check up accordingly. T account previously and now also, it is a seasonal basis of advance. Season this, and previous seasons automatically adjusted within a definite time schedule. Okay, so you check up whether the new accounts has been opened, check up whether the previous account has been adjusted or on the verge of adjustments. Okay, so these 2 points you have to ensure and see the agriculture advance, whatever the NPA theory, the NPA theory is applicable for T advance in here also. Okay.
So इसमें तो सब T advance में there are two type of होगा. एक तो T produce करते हैं जो process करते हैं. Maybe हाँ.
जो process करता है, that is not a agent advance.
Exactly. हाँ.
So they are manufacturing Ts. And one is this: who has got a garden? They were plucking, producing tea and marketing. Those are known as a producer of tea, coming under the party of agriculture advance. And herein, find that interest to be charged only once in a year, not on month basis. This is the guidelines.
सर इस बार एंट्री का क्या प्रोसेस है? 90 डेज क्या है?
90 डेज है। कोविड के लिए कोई नया सर्कुलर आया है।
तो सर जैसे इस पर ट्रांजैक्शन तो काफी पुअर हुए होंगे during the year जो कोविड पीरियड। तो इन दिस सिनेरियो हाउ वी एज अल्टर से हम लोग प्रोसीड करेंगे, ट्रांजैक्शंस नहीं है 3 मंथ 4 मंथ इस तरह से।
शुरू में सर फॉर द फर्स्ट 3 मंथ्स
देखिए फर्स्ट दो in those cases where you will find that there is a fall in the transactions, you from your side report that there is a shortage in the transactions, but that you are not going to give the MOC for any account, only on the account of these transactions. But if you find that account wherein no transaction is there, COVID तो था last year March से mainly up to the July August. उसका बाद में तो started coming back to normalization.
और उन लोग के लिए उसका ऐसे भी started था गवर्नमेंट तो दे।
Secondly, for the purpose of the food industry, it has suffered badly because it lingers up to January, December, January stuff. Because it has not opened. But for say term loan given to the cinema halls, they suffered badly. Term loan given to the cold storage, they have suffered badly. So therein, according to the nature of advance, you have to execute your IQs.
मेरा से यहाँ पर we have to report उसको guideline we have to do है report
regarding duty आपको रिपोर्ट में वो लोग हिट दिया कि नहीं है, it is none of your headache. Your headache is to report. That's all.
जो एनपीएस जो है तो सिस्टम तो ऑटोमेटिकली लेगा फिनांशियल
वो तो आप LFAR में जाइए, एक पॉइंट है whether this NPA is auto generated or not.
हाँ यही मेरा
ये आप देख लीजिए।
मैं तो सर प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है सर कि ठीक है अकाउंटिंग तो लोग फिनांशियल में करते हैं,
ये में हम लोग प्रॉब्लम है, प्रॉब्लम हुआ में नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम ये है जो ऑटो जनरेटेड है। आप देख लीजिए करेक्टली डन और नॉट,
वही तो नहीं मिलता है,
वो नहीं मिलता है सर। जैसे फिनांशियल में एक्चुअल है
वो मिलता है।
कैसे देते हैं वो लगा।
आप जस्ट 3 कॉन्सेप्ट लगाइए। क्या क्या कॉन्सेप्ट है एनपीए का? स्टॉक स्टेटमेंट दिया कि नहीं, रिव्यू रिन्यूअल हुआ कि नहीं, टर्नओवर हुआ कि नहीं, these 3. Go to select some accounts, go through the transactions in the account, call for the DP register, ask for the insurance register. Insurance में insurance check कर लीजिए, 10 accounts select कर, 10 account check करने में आपको आधा घंटा लगेगा। एक बार DP register देख लीजिए, कब स्टॉक स्टेटमेंट दिया है, कब DP उठाया, and review renewal हुआ कि नहीं, because in most of the cases review renewal में क्या करता है, review renewal हुआ नहीं, सिस्टम में वो रिव्यू करके रिव्यू लिख देता है, रिव्यू बिकॉज 2 टाइम से ज्यादा रिव्यू करने नहीं सकते। ये चीज आप देख लीजिए, देखिए योर 90% वर्क इज कवर्ड।
रिव्यू का रजिस्टर मेंटेन करता है ना, करता है कि शायद करता भी नहीं है।
सब बोलेगा सिस्टम है,
आपको बोलता है सब सिस्टम में।
देखिए साहब, स्टॉक स्टेटमेंट तो ड्रॉयर में पड़ा रहता है,
वो खाली सिस्टम अपडेट करता है।
हम देखा है स्टॉक स्टेटमेंट ड्रॉयर में घुसे गया, डीपी कंप्यूट नहीं किया, स्टॉक स्टेटमेंट निकाल के डीपी लिख दिया, 90 लाख लिमिट है, 90 लाख डीपी।
सर उस ग्राउंड पे एनपीए करने देता ही नहीं है सर, अभी मंगवा देते हैं, अभी कर देते हैं,
वो समय नहीं करते,
देता ही नहीं है सर।
बोले अभी करते हैं, ठीक है अभी लिख देता है, आप जब देंगे हमें कर देंगे। to show simple theory.
Depend करेगा कहाँ audit में.
Simple theory. You tell them that आप जो चीज अभी देंगे हम लिखेंगे, अभी नहीं दिया हम लिख के रखते हैं, जब आप देंगे हम कर देंगे. मैनेजमेंट के हिसाब में कॉम्प्रोमाइज करने का जगह नहीं सर.
सर अगर किसी केस में क्रेडिट सबमिशन बहुत लो है बट वो इंटरेस्ट सर्विसिंग हो रहा है, इन दैट केस क्या उसको एनपीए डिक्लेयर कर सकते हैं?
Yeah, it may be possible the interest has been serviced from some other sources. सेविंग से ट्रांसफर हो गया है, वो कोई दूसरा अकाउंट पे ट्रांसफर हो गया है. नो,
हो सकता है जेन्युइनली अगर हो रहा है इंटरेस्ट सर्विसिंग हो रहा है बट डीपी इज वेरी लो, इट इज बिलो 10%.
डीपी नहीं है, उसका मीनिंग क्या है? अनसिक्योर्ड. अनसिक्योर्ड है ना. मिनिमम क्या है? सपोज एक I told you what is the credit submission? Opening debtors, add sales, less closing debtors is a aim. So on that basis, if the last year sale is 5 crores, then there should be a reflection of at least, if not 5 crores, 400 crores, 500 crores, something like this. That is your judgment.
ऐसा बहुत अकाउंट है खाली 5 साल से इंटरेस्ट सर्व कर रहा है.
एनपीए
नहीं सर, वैसे छोटे जो ट्रेडर होते हैं, जनरली छोटे ट्रेडर केस में क्या होता है, वो पैसा उठा लिया 10 लाख का कैश है, सारा पैसा उठा लिया कैश में ट्रांजैक्शन होता है, वो इंटरेस्ट नहीं करते हैं.
देखिए they don't deposit in the account because what happened, we have not put this embargo to them ever. If you are strict, if you tell them that आपको ये करना है, नहीं करना है तो लिमिट बंद हो जाएगा. आपका ये मामला है, करना ही पड़ेगा. We are statutory auditor of a cooperative bank. 60-70 there is a reasonability of the turnover that the bank cannot specify. जब हम आपको बोलते हैं कि a company is doing a business in the egg, शियालदा में egg बेचता है, turnover is 150 to 130 crores, unimaginable turnover. So those 150 crores has been deposited cash to the various banks. They have to deposit. So that is a proof that they have deposited the sale proceeds. And cash हुआ है, ठीक है, आप 61 में रिपोर्ट होगा, जो रिपोर्ट करने बाद इनकम टैक्स में जो जस्टिफिकेशन मांगेगा we will give it. That is the point. Because income tax also understand there are certain. Suppose बाटा का जूता में, बाटा you are going to buy a बाटा shoe, you paid in cash. तो लोग क्या बोलेंगे, cash नहीं लेंगे? That they cannot tell because the nature of trade is this. Okay. So these are the everywhere you have to give your own way of judgment. And these broad guidelines of LFAR states that you have to follow it and see whether this has been properly taken into consideration or not. Okay?
Sir, whether we should generate unit for each report or single unit?
Single unit now?
All the reports? Or
no, for tax audit report, a separate unit, and on statutory audit report and long form audit report, one. So 2 units required for the purpose of bank audits. भाई वो हमारा जो है ना सेक्रेटरी है EIRC का, he is a master. So आप इसको पूछ लीजिए. But to my mind, and so far I know 2 units are required.
Tax audit अलग हो गया और मैं सबके मिला के एक था.
But even certificates are coming under the statutory audit part. Statutory audit.
just like CVDT वो भी report करना पड़ेगा क्या मतलब tax audit?
Yeah.
CVDT को report करना पड़ेगा?
No.
Tax audit for tax audit.
Because that is not being counted within the limit of 60.
डिपॉजिट्स में क्या देखना चाहिए? डिपॉजिट्स में क्या देखना चाहिए?
Deposits में आपको तो बहुत कुछ देखना चाहिए, but it is not possible for the auditors to go through the deposits in details. But what you have to see that whether this account complies KYC or not. Secondly, Whether there is a huge cash deposit in one account, that is to be noted. Thirdly, if the account is being operated in a joint account, if the account is a joint account, whether the operation has been carried out and this proper documentation has been carried for the purpose of your opening of the account, because nowadays if you go to the savings account opening forms, it contains multifarious informations. That is, what is your earning, what is your past income tax return, because these are all for the purpose of ensuring the PMLA Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So this just you can have a glance through this. 15G, 15H, you will not get time to see the 15G, 15H, because that is such a bulk files. And it may not be possible for you to 15G to exercise yourself in that area. But you can do one thing. There is a very common mistake on the part of the bank that the Aadhaar card date of birth and PAN card date of birth varies. Just have a glance अगर आपको PAN card और KYC लिया कि नहीं है, 10-20 अकाउंट देख लीजिए, बस इंटरेस्ट चेक कर लीजिए, because इंटरेस्ट में आपको सर्टिफिकेट देना है, the interest has been correctly levied on you.
सर 4 दिन का टाइम मिलता है
नहीं, this year में थोड़ा बड़ा है, इसमें साइड
सर ऑडिट कम देगा, एक ऑडिट देगा,
दो मैक्सिमम दो बोलता तो है दो.
आप तो सर एडवाइजरी
नहीं, हम एडवाइजरी नहीं है, हम एडवाइजरी फॉर ऑडिट, नॉट फॉर द रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया.
सर देखिए सर यूपी में क्वेश्चन है, यूपी क्रिएटेड क्या है, आईसीआईडी पोर्टल क्रिएट किया जाता है. चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट सर्टिफिकेट देता है, तो यूपी क्रिएट करना होता है. इट इज क्रिएटेड बाय द आईसीआई, राइट. माय क्वेश्चन इज लिटिल बिट डिफरेंट. Once we issue the register report, valuation report, we have to generate UTIN there also. लेकिन जो valuation report का जो ID होता है वो ICAI का नहीं होता है, वो IBPI का होता है. तो why we have to generate UTIN there?
वो जो ईस्टर्न रीजन का सेक्रेटरी है, because the UTIN concept is this: whenever a chartered accountant signs any report, UTIN has to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Now, as a registered valuer, how you come to registered valuer? Because you are a chartered accountant.
No, because of MCS also.
Yes, but they are governing by their laws. So the registered valuer जो आपने हुआ है, so why? Because you are a non-chartered accountant cannot be a registered valuer.
Non-chartered accountant.
But other than those professional degree holders, other than that degree holders, they cannot, because cost accountant can be, then compensatory can be, but because you are holding some professional degree, you are entitled for this qualification. This is an additional qualification. That is why it is needed.
In case of interest is not served by the borrower, and obtaining the monetary the bank is not declared the NPA.
Go to the task to be kept in a separate account or not, whether this clause is there. No question of support. Okay, clear guidelines.
There is a Supreme Court decision that the account cannot be NPA till the in the month of August, no better complaint. There is a Supreme Court. There is a Supreme Court. In the month of August, the account cannot be declared because due to COVID or due to monetary period. And
That circular hasn't come yet. Reserve Bank of India has not issued any circular treatment. That अगस्त महीना में जो कोविड के लिए कोई अकाउंट एनपीए नहीं होगा, ये सर्कुलर अभी तक नहीं आया. जब आएगा तो तब होगा. It may be possible that it might come before you come and sort it.
बैंक are saying कि जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जो बोला है कि फर्दर ऑर्डर तक कोई भी एनपीए डिक्लेयर नहीं होगा,
तो वो आपको दिखा देगा, तो आप मत एनपीए मत कीजिए। जैसा लास्ट ईयर के ऑडिट में वो तो डिक्लेरेशन था, जो 8/2 का बाद में जो हुआ है वो नहीं होगा, लास्ट में था। तो आप लोग क्या 8/2 तक जो हुआ है उसके बाद में लिया नहीं, तो क्वेश्चन दिस ईयर आल्सो सेम थिंग विल फॉलो, बट देयर यू मस्ट हैव एन इंस्ट्रूमेंट विद यू। ओके, थैंक यू ऑल। भाई ये बंद कीजिए।
Thank you all. All our gathering was less, but it was very nice. CF Partners I am very important for about 13 years. I practiced in 1991. He was member of committee of ICI for guidance for the electronic. He is member of LFAR committee of ICI, faculty of the control of ICI, and also member of professional development committee of ICI. He is also advisor for Audit in 1950. He is ex-president of Accountant Library and final peer review of ICI. Now, I invite all the to get that and the last one is one to come over and offer the menu. To our speaker, now I request VIPCA to open.
Operational scheme, but as the quality, we have the registered members, Amity and Manishi, we have the policy auditor, we have the Diligence Charter Accountant cases auditing, and all of the speakers are very keen to the profession. So we are the quality profession. That's good. Thanks.
I would like to thank Tushar Kanti Basu sir for sharing with you on the high quality. Sir, really, he explained that the changes in LFAR very nicely. The session was very informative and interactive, and I am sure it will give the resolution to our professional knowledge. Thanks a lot, sir. And thanks for participating.
General statement, CF related is not question of over and offer our guest speakers. This is for
So you call for my item, no?
yes.
And I have also possibility because I do.
If you have any other queries, I think you are next one. Please say.
our my friends are in the we had on question design. ITC Mahan Bangla. All our question design and all the rest we check very well.
नहीं सच